Okay. How is the signal? Everything working? Okay. Welcome back to Western Mike. Welcome to another edition of Good Morning YouTube. And I have a couple of topics today. And let's get right into it. Narcissists always play games. Also, bubbles don't have to have poison. So, the first topic, let me just say first that this has been a relatively steady, stable week, and appreciate that. Really like how easygoing this week has relatively been. Couple of things, but in general, would say that the crime has not been too overwhelming this week. So yeah, that goes a long way when there's not crime happening seemingly everywhere. It makes things perhaps a little bit easier. Empirically, it makes me think that perhaps things aren't totally that unsafe. Perhaps there are pockets of less safety. Perhaps things can certainly be unsafe, but they might not always be unsafe. Could just be a pocket. Maybe it's just something going on in the area, and that might not always be the case. It could be a kind of happens and doesn't happen thing. So yeah, crime can certainly be bad, but doesn't seem to always be an issue. Narcissism does seem to be on the rise, though. Narcissism is something that is just difficult, if impossible, to run away from and escape. You probably also wish that narcissism wasn't a thing, but that next thing you know, you're kind of gaslighting yourself. What could my problem be? If I'm dealing with narcissism constantly, what could be my problem? What could be my problem? Oh yeah. So it's certainly been there, perhaps just more than once. It looks like we have perhaps a couple people tuning in. Thank you for joining the show. I did deal with at least some narcissism this week. The other day was on the ferry and was walking to get downstairs from upstairs, and this one kid, he kind of seemed a little weird. He was walking, and maybe he was there first, don't know, but he just kind of stood there and didn't say any, again, not saying a word, just stood there and being weird, and he kept standing there, and walked past him, didn't stop. What, you're dealing with a weirdo, it's best not to stop, you keep going. So walked past him, and despite his getting in my freaking way, and could see out of the corner of my eye that kid just started smirking about something. What's the smirking for? Um, that just seemed. Why are you? Uh, why are you provoking people? This is just a fairy. I don't understand these narcissists constantly playing games, even during times that require a lot of focus, minimal distractions such as the ferry and the commute. And I'm not sure why somebody, not sure who these people are or what they hope to achieve out of this, but this kid didn't even say anything. It just kind of got in my way and kept smirking and then stomped off. Um, no, no, yeah, like an angry little girl, like a little girl. And my consternation about this is just, you're living in paradise, A, number one, and B, number two. People are actually trying to enjoy this experience, and they don't need you infusing uh, negativity or beta male behavior into every public scene. It seems like you beta males out there, you seem to try to invade the space with your negativity, and that makes the setting less enjoyable. It could be more enjoyable if you weren't there. If you weren't there. Um, No, yeah. At this point, just don't even like beta males being around, because it's constantly this manipulative behavior. The problem with nice guys, and I'm not a nice guy myself, might come across as one. Don't believe me. Some people have had to literally remind me, and they wouldn't call me nice, which, but they would call me good. So there may be perhaps some, not so nice elements to my person. um, but I'm not going to try to hold that against people. And it doesn't make sense. Everybody saying, nice guy, nice guy. Every time you look at these guys, though, they're they're being kind of smarmy and manipulative, and I don't get it. I don't get it. You're in paradise, and there are a lot of enjoyable ways to do things. Even just getting home, there can be some enjoyable ideas for this. So what are you getting out of complaining? What are you getting out of, you know, trying to provoke other people? What's this lack of gratitude? Um, And then some of my neighbors, they're kind of weird. So my neighbors constantly play games with me after work. I'm coming home, and neighbors I'm coming home, and neighbors go out of their way to ignore me. Not all of them, but a good amount. A good amount. Whenever I'm coming home from work, a lot of neighbors go out of their way to ignore me. But then when I'm going into town after, they start to bug me then, or they will bother me on my way home. But then when I'm going into town and I'm in a social mood at that point, what are they doing? They're ignoring my ass. So no, yeah. Again, this is not every neighbor, but it's a sizable portion. And have to deal with this pretty much every time I'm coming home from work. People either ignoring you. You ever deal with this phenomenon? Some, nosy, toxic neighbors, perhaps, and every time you come home from work, they're either ignoring you when you come home, then bothering you when you go out the second you leave your house, or vice versa, or vice versa. You're coming home and they're bugging you, but then you go out and you say, okay, now I'm in the mood to socialize. Now I'm open to talking to people. But now they're kind of, stomping off from you and being kind of, just a little bit unreasonable, a little bit unreasonable, kind of surly, kind of surly. I don't know about you. You probably got some surly neighbors. And, well, listen, I understand about a lot of this stuff going on. Um, HOA told me, HOA told people they understand the financial burden of replacing the electrical panel. But then, not 1 month later, and they're already discussing bringing up uh, the fees. Uh, so we understand about the financial burden of replacing the electrical panel, but then not 1 month goes by after, and now it's still in the middle of the deadline. It has not passed yet, and after saying they understood the burden, they're trying to jack the HOA fees. Um, No, listen. Listen. I get it. I wish things weren't getting so expensive to where you could barely enjoy your house, but then you can't enjoy your house, too much or too little because you go downtown and one by one seems like businesses are being replaced. No, not trying to ding the president or anyone like that, but I'm just noticing some stuff with the economy that's kind of a little bit, uh, it's kind of a little bit, uh, it's not exactly what expected. Um, the last couple months have been a little unexpected. Thought that, things would perhaps really start to pick up, but it seems as if there are still closures and still, a lot of businesses just coming and going. Um, it's good to elucidate what your economic layout is. Um, Maybe HOA is right to increase fees even during a panel mandate. Um, but it just goes to show what a mess this is. And perhaps I'm not somebody who should be surprised about some of the conduct of some, if not of some, not all, but some, perhaps even many of my neighbors. What goes on it usually it can kind of show up in people and the way other people are kind of behaving around you. So, it may not be directed at you. It's just that bureaucrats are just not getting it. Bureaucrats don't get it. Every time I'm talking to bureaucrats, they're either uh, gaslighting, dismissing my concerns, or they're just overloading me with demands. Um, I'm not really dealing with any bureaucrats at work. I mean, when you're at work, that stuff you're doing, that stuff you have to do, that's one thing. But wasn't really dealing with a bureaucracy like this at my house. Uh, People red taping my house. Wasn't dealing with that before. Wasn't dealing with that before. Where it seems like every single week on Friday, it's always Friday, an email goes out. Oh, by the way, we hope you're barely enjoying your house. Just I just don't understand this at all. And then you wonder why, there's a lot of tension in the neighborhood. It's because you're being a bureaucrat and you won't leave people alone. That's why. That's why. And you're acting like a stupid idiot who would rather pretend to manage things than make sure that everybody is, uh, you know, able to live in if able to live in their community. This situation is quite unlivable. Quite unlivable. Have other neighbors have talked to you guys about my neighbors with dogs? Dogs aren't the issue, it's the owner. What is the owner doing? Have a couple owners. One owner has two chihuahuas down the street, and uh, people weren't ignoring me yesterday evening per se, but um, some neighbors. One neighbor walked past me, seemed like she was perhaps in her head a bit, so kind of ignored her because, people have done that to me, so kind of ignored her, didn't get into it with her, didn't try to pet her dog or anything like that. But then a couple minutes later, after dealing with that, then, was trying to walk into town, deal with my neighbor who has two chihuahuas who have charged out at me before and circled me while I'm trying to walk. Yeah, that guy. Uh, saw that dude. Um, keeps wearing bright clothing, and he was flailing about something. Not sure what the flailing was about. Not sure what the bright colors are about. You could just wear neutral colors. You could keep your hands to yourself. Um, perhaps he was upset because he was finally having to use a leash. Perhaps because, he was receiving too many complaints from neighbors and, have seen neighbors get not only stopped, but shoved into a police car. And that would certainly suck. And I'm trying not to do that. And some neighbors are not helping. Some neighbors are not helping. Seems like they go around and try to provoke others. What is it with the neighbors who are always trying to provoke others? I'm only going to say something when, I'm getting provoked, but even then I'm going to try not to because you're letting yourself get provoked. You're letting yourself get provoked. It's just some neighbors are wacky, son. Some neighbors are wacky. Here's my here's my oh yeah, and then also dealing with some perhaps some soy boys on my bus and tried to get past one, but he kept on either crossing his leg like a woman or sticking his leg into the aisle. And even after trying to walk past him, this dude would not eject his leg from the aisle. And then he was also just blocking not only the aisle, but the seat next to him. Because bro has, a million things on his person. Maybe he can't use a gym because people in the local gyms were complaining that he kept trying to approach people even though there was other equipment available, and then getting upset when people would tell him no, they're trying to do their workout. Don't know. No, yeah, I told you guys about that before. Yes, with these narcissists. Yes, sometimes I've had other older dudes try to approach me in the middle of a set in the gym when there are when there's not only other but like gym equipment around. Not sure what that's for. Not sure what you did that for. What was that for? But here's my take on these narcissists and how it seems like kind of they're doing enough not to try to get into trouble, even though they're doing quite enough to try to get noticed because they want it to be obvious. They want it to be rather obvious what they're doing, but they just won't elucidate what their intentions are, and this seems to be my take on dealing with kind of the world's worst people, the Karens of the world. And yeah, so that's basically my my take on narcissism is uh, fuck. Son, you can't walk outside without dealing with somebody playing games with you. Either they just freaking ignore you for no reason or they bug you for no reason. And that's my take on narcissists. They're always either ignoring or bothering you. Have had the same people. Have had the same. Don't believe me. Have dealt with it from the same mugs. One person would be all, kind of interrupting my conversations a bit, and then go right back to telling me to screw off. These folk are difficult to be around. They create a lot of unnecessary. Swear the other day also, there may have been a car having an issue, but you could on the highway, but that doesn't mean that you have to hold up everybody for the next 5 miles. You could still go the same speed and just pay attention to the flashing car. You don't have to slow down every time you pass by a flashing car. They're getting assistance. They're gonna get that squared away and resolved. What do you think they're doing? They're probably, calling a AAA or something like that. You don't need to slow down and make a scene and be all just annoying about that. It's barely 4 o'clock. Hurry up. Swear, man. Every time in Marin, and sometimes in Marin County, home of the narc since the gold rush, I guess. Just sometimes, one would get into a car with somebody, not my friends or anything like that. They don't do that. But would get into a car with somebody in Marin County, and instead of just proceed with the task at hand, they would kind of do this weird kind of stream of consciousness kind of. Look where we are. Aren't you grateful? I'm like, come on, man, just put the key in the ignition and just can you get me to my destination, please? And I'll pay you. Sometimes think even already paid you, and you're kind of prolonging things and kind of holding me up unnecessarily. We live in a place where seems like instead of get to the task at hand, people either dismiss the task entirely and its importance or significance, but then they pay too much attention to things that have nothing to do with the task. Nothing to do with the task. It's just I don't understand these bureaucrats at all. Bureaucrats are always all, this issue makes sense. But this issue over here, fuck that issue. And who are you to bring that up? No, yeah, but those aren't, I'm not dealing with anybody like that at work. Sometimes at work, we'll just say, might deal with more things at work sometimes and other times. But that's probably stuff that everybody has to deal with at work. Sometimes you have to deal with a lot at once, and sometimes you don't have to deal with too much at once. But that's work. That's stuff you have to do. That's stuff you enjoy doing. That keeps you busy. And, I guess you just deal with that. But you don't have to overload the road because one driver is having an issue. You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to discuss raising interest rates after you just told people, "Hey, we're gonna give you some time to replace your electrical panel." You also don't have to do this thing where somebody says, "Hey, harassment," and you bureaucrats show up, and you're all, "Oh well, maybe you're the one who that weirdo. She was gonna come back." Can't stand bureaucrats. Can't stand the way that they manage things. Can't stand the way they manage things, and just can't stand just the insensitive and uh, impulsive way that bureaucrats manage things. Why didn't they make sure that the San Rafael Bridge was in shape before everything happened? Hmm? There are plenty of weekends now where maybe so many people are not using the road because they just want to get out of Dodge for once. You could have deployed Caltran to work on that project then. And you could have just said, you know what, we're going to shut down the bridge on the weekend and y'all can take the ferry or something like that. So that come Monday, we don't have a whole huge backup and everybody freaking out and being a Karen about everything, which but that's just my take. If you're trying to manage a dense, very urban, very metropolitan area like the Bay Area, um, perhaps you want to take care of some of this shit when it's good timing, such as on the weekend. These bureaucratic narcs, it seems like they kind of suffer from a bit of bad timing syndrome. No, yeah, don't know what it is. They don't care about the actual issues and progress, but then they tend to make an issue and they tend to start emailing you every other week. I, I'm sorry, can't I enjoy my house? That'd be great. That'd be great. Don't want to now just because listened to you, just because complied with your demands about the electrical panel doesn't mean you now need to start blowing up my email. Excuse me, that wasn't going on before. Bureaucrats are blowing up your email when they were not emailing you every other week about, panels and HOA fees. Um, you should slow down. If you ask me, I'll say you need to slow down. Way too many demands, way too many freakouts from neighbors. This is going to boil over. This is going to spill over. I'm concerned that there's just going to be conflict to the point where it reaches a certain point. Some neighbors are trying to be nice, and they're not trying to force you to be nice to them. But some neighbors are trying to be nice because they realize the severity and they don't want to contribute to the issue. So, um, no, yeah, and also, what's this thing about narcs on bikes? Really, have dealt with a couple narcissists on motorbikes lately. It just seems like they're maybe it's somebody who know, I'm not sure, but it seems like a lot of them are trying to be annoying, and it could be again what's been happening. Uh, you know, just school is out, and there could be a bit of a recession. So, but have dealt with some motorbikers. They keep passing me from different directions, or they keep, making more noise than necessary, or doing things that are just not necessary. Perhaps flashing their lights, or perhaps swerving after passing me. Um, that's kind of annoying, dude. You're supposed to be one of the more masculine uh, types out there. You're supposed to be somebody who could look to for masculinity, and instead you're kind of sabotaging that, and you're kind of acting like all the other freaks who keep showing up in my neighborhood, acting kind of like third wave insensitive morons in and out of prison. It's just what happened to the decline of the motorbiker? Seems like a lot of motorbikers kind of have an issue with masculinity now, because a lot of them have run into them, and they've seemed kind of annoying. You would think that they're going to be pretty tough, but a lot of them are being really quite annoying, and that's annoying. That's annoying. You need some people who you could look to for masculinity. Uh, you need some people to look to besides your friends for, you know, s- signs of masculinity. You need some people who you can look to. And this week, haven't really seen examples. Also, three dudes in the city were walking right behind me on the sidewalk. was going at a normal pace, guys. You didn't have to rush me. It was going at a normal pace. Come on. And just because you're, about to walk into a place doesn't mean you have to run somebody else off the road. No, yeah. So I'm just not seeing a whole lot of masculinity around me, and would like to see more examples. You're going to act like a masculine person, you get some of my time. But if you're not going to be very masculine, even when there aren't a lot of issues going on this week, finally, wasn't delayed once this week, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for it. But if you're not going to show up in a masculine manner, even when a whole lot of stuff isn't going on, it's kind of difficult to trust you. It's more likely that I'm going to say to myself, this guy, especially maybe board member or something like that, board member. Again, it might be the sign of the times, but still, it's just you're stiffing me, you're annoying me, and just the more you red tape my house when you weren't doing that before, the more you red tape conversations unnecessarily, just the less I'm gonna show up, and just the more you're gonna have to wonder, where is everybody? Where is everybody? It's just, dude. It's because you're scaring the shit out of people, and you're scaring people away. Uh, you're you're scaring the shit out of people with your tyrannical, seemingly unceasing bullshit. So let's get into the next. Okay, let's do our intermission. All right. No, yeah, would really appreciate if bureaucrats and just insensitive would appreciate if bureaucrats bureaucrats would appreciate if bureaucrats and uh, girly men would just leave everybody alone for once, because I'm getting freaking annoyed. I'm getting annoyed. I'm grateful for this week. Haven't had one delay this week. I'm grateful for the week. I'm grateful for this food, but I'm getting very, very agitated and annoyed. Okay, see you again after intermission, and leave a comment, subscribe if you dare, and we'll be right back. Okay, so yeah, welcome back after part one, and now this is part two. We were discussing bureaucrats, not at work, because work, that stuff happens, so you can't really get mad. But at your house, bureaucrats red taping your house after they said that they basically wouldn't leave me in my house. I'll do what you say, but leave me in my house alone. Stop emailing me every single Friday about stuff. It's getting annoying. You're annoying me. Okay, so now let's discuss, bubbly. The kind of the air of the bubbly, bubbly beverages, bubbly drinks. Bubbly drinks and beverages are enticing. Enticing. The bubbles, in my mind, the bubbles add this aesthetic value, and it can really draw you in. Honestly, half the time when I've been drinking, it's because I've just wanted to look at the bubbles. Even a nice quality glass of red wine, and you don't even see that everywhere these days. Um, or you see it, could maybe use some work, but even red wine has bubbles. Even red wine has carbonation. Um, but yeah, just one of the one of the conditions there is you may get pretty drawn in. One thing that draws me into alcohol, into drinking, certainly is the bubbles. Don't know what it is, but it's just the bubbles. The bubbles. They draw me in, they keep me hooked, and just cannot get enough of them. So, but already, I'm kind of running baths on the weekend, and also maybe might have a bath and a glass of water or kind of a calming tonic, or might do that. So that's already some bubble on bubble action there, and you can do a lot with bubbles. We'll even clean my house. That'll be some good, bubbly. But no, yeah, not every bubbles don't have to have alcohol. They're making a lot of drinks that have bubbles, but that do not have a uh, an a carcinogen. Um, it might have some other properties that could be of concern, perhaps BPA or just maybe some metals could be in there. But they won't do. They won't have alcohol. Maybe some, but not a whole lot. So yeah, can you enjoy bubbles and the kind of relaxing, the relaxing effect of bubbles, but without stooping to alcohol consumption levels? Sure, you can. It will require some, and it's requiring some out of me because right now I'm not even sitting down to places right now. Right now I'm just kind of always on the go right now. I haven't really sat down at an actual place unless was with my friends for the last couple of months, and that's just because I'm it's just I'm annoyed by a lot of the stuff going on, so I'm just kind of giving myself a good long break. But when I've had a drink, have acknowledged that that drink may still have bubbles in it. It just might not have a substance that might not even need in it. Um, is it the alcohol that you're getting a reaction to, or perhaps could it be something else entirely? Could it be the carbonation? Could it be the glass? Maybe the way the glass looks. So then you get your glass served to you, and then they do a good job with serving the glass, and then they do a good job with, giving you something that's very bubbly and very pleasing to the eye, very seductive to the eye, and it's kind of tough to look away from. That can be addictive, like social media, like video games. Just this stuff can be pretty addictive. But I'm going to try to do an experiment. I'm going to try to see how much can enjoy bubbles without alcohol. Next couple weeks. Then when I'm going to start to go out more again. Let's just say I'm just not going out that much these days. But when I start to go out more again, might enjoy some bubbly, but we'll also try to look for bubbly that isn't, poisonous. And also that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, going to start to do all this stuff just because it has all these bubbles and stuff in it. I mean, there are plenty of things that have carbonation, that have that character to them, and you might not have to deal with getting totally stoned out. Um, Plus, even some think bubbly drinks have had a bit of an effect. Have gotten effects from drinks that don't have alcohol in them. Drank a tea from the ferry building the other day. That was an herbal canned tea. Had an herbal canned tea, and if had poured that out into a glass and sat down. Not sure if there was any carbonation, but it did have this really pretty good mouth feel. So, no, yeah, not everything has to have carbonation. Does not require alcohol. Maybe it's just a lot of people just like, the effect. Well, people say they like the effects, but it might not be the effects you think. People might not enjoy kind of the psychological or health effects of alcohol, but they may enjoy other effects. Me am a fan of some of the effects of alcohol, like the bubbles and like when it has a good hue to it. Most alcohol does not have a good hue to it at all. But yeah, one of the things that drinking does that brings it in, even though other products do similar things, is they try to catch your eye. They try to catch your eye. And how they try to catch your eye is they will put something in it, and they will make something very, very fascinating to go into it, and then next thing you know, you're all, oh, this is working, this is working. So yeah, I think it's just a combination of the bubbles, and then just the fact that, at least in small droves, not sure about the larger ones, but at least in small droves, alcohol and bubbles seem to lead to other things, and maybe that's just what is so exciting and enticing about it. My biggest Achilles heel for taking over this ship and kicking alcohol out. No, yeah, probably the bubbles. Or honestly, not really the taste. Let's not get into that. It's not really alcohol taste. Yeah, no, let's not discuss that. It's more about just other drinks have, carbonation, but with alcohol, the carbonation is what gets me. Just the kind of surface gets me. Some alcohol can be pretty good, some alcohol can have a nice taste to it, and in a reasonable amount. Some alcohol can provide a bit of a relief after, a week of delays and unforeseen red tape. But drinking can be all in your head. It can be all in your head. Sometimes when I've been drinking, haven't really gotten any effects from it. Yeah, sure, might see effects, might pick up on, the whole altered state and all that stuff. But wouldn't really have that much of an effect. And that was even after an elevated consumption of alcohol. Um, so yeah, you might end up liking bubbles a little too much. So then you're that's a lot of bubbles. So my one of my habits, especially when it comes to things like drinking, one of my habits tends to be getting perhaps a little bit attached. Uh, my habit can certainly be to get attached to things. It's easy for me to get attached to things that have a scenic value. Drinking can be scenic. Smoking can definitely be a little bit scenic. You blow it out, and then you just sit there and you look at it, and you're like, "How did I create that?" But then also drinking can be nice because it can be rather scenic. It can be a rather scenic experience. It's pretty luxurious. And also, they tend to use the alcohol industry is smart with this. They tend to use effects such as bubbles to draw you in. And now every drink you have to have has to have bubbles with it or something like that. Uh, so yeah, no, if you don't get your Guinness, but then no, yeah, was that if you don't get your Guinness, you at least have to have your coffee look like Guinness. We're now living in that kind of world. If you don't get your Guinness, your coffee has to look like Guinness. No, yeah, I would rather not contemplate, liquid drugs at 6 in the dang morning. Have only been up for 2 hours. Can barely form a sentence. Let alone look around me. Fill me in. But no, yeah, alcohol can certainly be enticing. I had a dream last night, and it was pretty vivid. Was at a bar, and the my bartender Tiki over there. She no yeah she had a pitcher of Guinness. She had a pitcher of Guinness on the counter. She poured my Guinness, and think was as a pitcher of Guinness for some reason she had a pitcher of Guinness on the counter. Think we had another dude with us, sitting at one of the other stools, and wow she had the canister of Guinness on the counter. I kept looking at my Guinness. For some reason in the dream would not take my eyes off the Guinness. Was ignoring her, but could not stop, monitoring and visually micromanaging, checking out my, style. So, no, yeah, and that wasn't a dream, son. You may have crossed into another dimension, because that basically is what the experience is half the time. You don't really, unless it's really good, you don't really like the drink that much. So then you just kind of subconsciously kind of start looking for other things about the drink. Bubbles and maybe kind of an off, but still kind of present smell. Maybe not a pleasant smell, but a present smell. What do companies get out of producing a bunch of mass product and not really applying a lot to it? Especially if it costs that much money to get all that out there, and you could fall to tariffs. You could fall to the president's tariffs and not have prepared enough, and not have a plan to operate your business during difficult times, difficult measures. Um, and already you kind of suffer. Some of these companies, they suffer from kind of perhaps a false perceived popularity, uh, because they make stuff on the cheap, and then it's easy to access, but then there's just not a whole lot of value out of those drinks. There's not a whole lot of value out of some of these drinks going around, besides just maybe a mild, effect. So to me, um, not everything has to have bubbles, and bubbles don't always have to have kind of crazy stuff to them. A lot of beverages can have, soap. Soap is one of my favorite kind of aspects of life, honestly, is soap. It's just soap looks all shit. Soap looks all. I used to put these in the middle of my live stream and then wonder why maybe it was not getting that much reception. At least last couple shows been a little dead, but have also had some good shows lately. So if y'all want to do a comment thing, or if y'all want to do a chat thing, have at it. Have at it. One time recently was on a show, and it was about people discussing baseball, and some people were spamming the chat section. Me was just trying to joke with the hosts about the show about the baseball. But then one of the spammers told me to stop talking and leave everybody alone. But then just kind of ignored that weirdo, because some of the hosts were female too, and kind of wanted to impress them with my jokes. So waited until they told me, "Hey, where'd you go from the chat?" And told them, and other people in the chat were saying, "Hey, what can I do to get a shout out or something like that?" While telling me to be quiet when I wasn't the one who was soliciting myself to the host. I was just trying to make jokes and be, a beneficial part of the chat. What you can do? How about you can keep on being part of the chat? Let me know how that goes. So, yeah. It's just alcohol will entice you, and just know, when you drink, just you will get drawn in, and some of these effects just might not even have anything to do with drinking. Just nothing to do with hops, nothing to do with, nothing to do with the hop profile. Oh, yeah, that's not that important. Nothing to do with, how much water they shouldn't be putting in there. But a lot of alcohol just is a lot of just nonsense about just bubbly. People say bubbly, and it's yeah. Poor bastards. No. But no, yeah, some of these effects might not have anything to do with drinking alcohol. Might just have more to do with stuff that alcohol just seems to be part of. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. You're doing something, and you could be doing something else. That's all. Keep in mind, some alcohol is going to be rather mediocre. So then and then you're bored, and then you're just looking for ways to keep yourself entertained while you're doing it. That's why conversation is taking place often during alcohol. Get your mind off of how bad and how unsatisfactory a lot of it is. No, yeah, alcohol pisses me off. People all of a sudden red taping my house some more when they didn't used to do that, even though they're not really paying as much attention as they could to issues plaguing our community. But then, somebody screams rape, and these same bureaucrats, they don't listen when somebody is screaming rape. They don't care. But then they'll just start bugging you about all this stuff and burdening you with emails, even though they weren't doing that before. I thought that people could enjoy their house when they come home, especially after work, not deal with a bunch of passive-aggressive neighbors. And even though not everybody's like that, but not have to deal with a bunch of passive-aggressive neighbors. And after they just got a nasty email from HOA saying how we kind of understand the financial burden, but not really. No, yeah, kind of dealing with stuff like this. from people who were not emailing me this much before, who were letting me kind of live my life before, and maybe they'd send an email once in a blue moon. No, yeah, it kind of makes me not really want to get into these thirst traps. Okay, it kind of makes me not want to get into these thirst traps. It's kind of difficult to want to do risky things when there's a lot of perhaps risky business going around. I do it, but you really have got to stop red taping me. You were not doing this before you were leaving me alone for the most part, and now you have basically blown up my life. And just a couple weeks after the mandate with the electrical panel, somebody ran their car into one of the local bars in the town, one of the few local bars in the town. And when everybody's having to replace their electrical panel and do jury duty and all this stuff, just a couple weeks after, somebody tried to hijack the local bar's parking lot to as some gravity assist, and they tried to do that, and they crashed practically into the bar. Some of my friends could have been hurt. It's just anybody trying to now get people's attention. That's just good luck with that. Good luck with that. A lot of people, some of them maybe, but a lot of people are not going to come back. They're not going to come back. It's not about the businesses per se. It's about the scene in general. Because we've already seen that. A lot of people are not going to come back. A lot of people are just, they've seen too much negativity. They've seen too much negativity. And it's just, we keep at it like this, and this place is going to become a ghost town pretty much in a couple of years. And, you're going to be seeing me wandering around after an 8-hour shift, and I'm going to be all, where's everybody? And I thought that people would be around more. I thought that people would I thought that people would want to keep things going some more, but apparently not. Apparently it's just everybody either pretends to give a shit or just doesn't really. And then they wonder why people aren't really doing the same things that they used to anymore. It's just, what are you getting out of it? Who would get anything out of that at this point? Everything just seems so mediocre and inaccessible that you can't do anything. You can't do anything these days. And if you're trying to get home from work, good luck. Wait, hold on a second here. Would really appreciate if folk would be professional. But I'm also hoping that you can enjoy your community. So thanks. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. See you in the next video, and have a good one, and talk to you guys soon. Okay. Have a good one, and have a nice weekend. And if you go party, do me a favor and please just know how to get home quickly after. Quickly.